find a spot like some country spot, shoot shit. Bro, we can shoot anywhere, real talk. We can make this work.
Peaky Blinders is excellent. I'm not only saying that because it's my favorite show. It's genuinely a fantastic series and the benchmark for the historic crime drama genre. The writing is excellent, every scene is intense and meaningful, the acting is Emmys worthy, and the plot lines for each and every season are so well developed and so enthralling. Since I spent the entirety of my last video criticizing a TV show, I'm going to spend the entirety of this one breaking down the parts of this show, some of them at least, that make it utterly brilliant, such as the three main characters, fresh and well developed plot lines, and some of the antagonists. The Peaky Blinders are a small gang that run the streets of Birmingham in the aftermath of World War I. The gang is led by the cold and intelligent Thomas Shelby, backed up by the unstable Arthur Shelby, the less violent John Shelby, the level-headed Ada Shelby, and finally the sassy Polly Gray. Rest in peace to Helen McCrory. Tommy makes it the family's ambition to remove all competition from the bookmaking market in order to establish a legitimate monopoly. When I say remove, I'm putting it lightly. They'll commit murder in the most violent way possible, even when unnecessary. All of that ties into my very first point of character establishment. When I say Tommy is a violent man, I really mean that Tommy is a violent man. Strong motivation to get rid of the competition, standing in his way of reaching the top, usually results in his opponents getting threatened, tortured, and even sometimes assassinated. At the same time though, Tommy isn't a rash and reckless madman. That's Arthur Shelby, which we'll touch on later. Tommy is incredibly composed in the situations of extreme pressure, even down to having a gun pressed to his forehead. His cold and emotionless demeanor is executed excellently by Cillian Murphy, and it perfectly establishes the character of Thomas Shelby. Arthur Shelby, Thomas's second in command out of the three brothers and the entire family. As I mentioned earlier, Arthur is in no uncertain terms an unstable maniac. He was traumatized by World War I, and Tommy uses him as his mad dog in the Peaky's ascension through the criminal ranks. Arthur had one set character path up until season 3, when he got married and expected a child soon after. For the sake of his new family that he was building, he attempted to curb his extremely violent practices and be a better man, following Christianity. That proved to be very difficult though, as his line of work demands that he be ruthless, which provides an interesting dynamic seeing him battle between being a good man, all while still carrying out the brutal deeds in the gangster line of work. I love Arthur, don't get me wrong. That might sound mad, especially after hearing that he's a maniac and he murders people just for the sake of it, but it's not exactly like that. Kudos to Paul Anderson for being able to play an insanely unstable character with such vulnerability and emotional conscience. He isn't just brutal for the sake of it. He has a depth of feeling. He does these things with a clear remorse, and it stays in his conscience for long periods in the show, which is fantastic work from both the actor and the writers. Moving on to the least intense of the three brothers, John Shelby. John is an interesting character. In fact, he's one of my favorites outside of Tommy. Additionally, he's a character I don't see enough people talking about though, which I guess can be a good thing. What I like about John's character is that he's extremely loving and caring, clearly invoked through the relationship with his wife Esme, even with his brother. If someone disrespects any member of the family in his presence, John gets defensive and protective. Like, take for example the Billy Kimber scene where Billy Kimber is first introduced in season 1. Kimber throws a coin on the ground and demands that Tommy picks it up, forcing him to get to his knees in front of the enemy. The reaction that John has to that showcases the true epitome of his character, pleading that he be the one to stoop to that level rather than Tommy. Not to mention the "are you laughing at my brother" line in the very same scene. He's actually less obsessed with the violence and the killing in contrast to his brothers. He rarely does anything violent, and even when he does, it's almost nothing compared to what Tommy and Arthur do. It's that non-violent nature that makes his demise hit that much harder in season 3, which is another thing that the show executes brilliantly. Now, onto the plot lines and how the antagonists tie into that. While the show's main plot throughout each season is just the Peaky Blinders trying to climb through the criminal ranks, the various antagonists in different seasons sometimes changes the dynamic or even adds to it. Take Inspector Campbell for example. He's the main villain for the first 2 seasons around there. He's tasked with cleaning up the city of Birmingham, the Shelby family being his hardest opponent standing in his way. Campbell's sheer obsession with the Shelbys, most notably Tommy, only grows when the aforementioned falls into a mutual love with Grace. Only after that did his methodology of doing things by the book go out the window, orchestrating events like gang wars between the Blinders and Billy Kimber. He even goes as far as hiring the Red Right Hand to attempt to assassinate Tommy, as well as having Arthur and Michael arrested. Campbell wasn't exactly the most murderous of them all, but his jealousy and obsession with getting rid of Tommy led to him being lackadaisical regarding the law. The Changrettas are another pretty interesting set, to say the least. We're first introduced to Vincente Changretta, who only appears in the 2 episodes of the show. Even so, the role he played was instrumental throughout the events of the show as the show progressed. After John disrespects Vincente and beats up his son, Angel, he hires an assassin who kills Grace Shelby. That goes back to my point of Tommy being extremely violent, as that act of losing his wife sparked the violent side of Tommy, and it came to light, ending up in Tommy killing Vincente himself, which allowed another member of the Changretta family to show themselves, Luca Changretta. Luca is definitely a fan favorite in terms of antagonists, and I would even go as far as to say that he's the best villain in the show thus far. After Vincente's demise, I thought we were done with seeing the Changretta family, but no, Luca rocks up to England seeking revenge for the death of his father, and they try so very hard to get rid of the rest of the family. Luca's chilling and cold nature that nearly matches Tommy's is what makes him such an excellent character, and an excellent addition to the roster and dynamic of the show. All these protagonists, antagonists, and even side characters that I haven't mentioned, like Ada Shelby, Abraham Gold, Johnny Dogs, Polly Gray, make the show such an enthralling watch because every character has meaning, every character has such sufficient lines, no one strays on screen for too long, and there's a set protagonist, Riverdale. Every scene means something. All of the plot lines are so fresh while keeping the same dynamic of the show that drew you in the first place. It's gritty, it's intense, it's gripping, it's well acted, it's excellently written, and in my eyes, it's the pinnacle for what historic crime dramas should be. If you guys want to see more Peaky Blinders analysis videos, let me know what you want to see in the comments down below. I absolutely love the show to bits, so it was amazing talking about this and writing the script for it. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to slap that like button and subscribe if you are brand new. I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out. Peace.